Procrastination can be a source of stress, low productivity, and if left unchecked, can end up turning into regret of the things that we didn't accomplish in our lives. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 4 practical tips on how to beat procrastination and get things done. Number 1 is to clarify the cost and benefit. Usually when somebody procrastinates, it's going to be because they don't really want to do the task at hand, or it's a too big a task, it's not enjoyable, they'd rather be doing something else. What's happening here is that the perceived cost of doing a specific task is too big, while the perceived benefit of doing that task is too small. What we want to do is switch that over to being a much larger benefit and a much smaller cost. If we're thinking it's a too big a task, it's outside of my comfort zone, I'd rather be doing something else, the cost, too big. I'm not focusing on the longer term benefit at that time. I'm simply focusing on the short term cost involved in doing that right now, which is then keeping me stuck, which is then keeping me procrastinating on that. Instead, we switch it over to what's the benefit of me doing this in, maybe it is the short term, but maybe more so the medium and longer term. And also, what's it gonna cost me if I don't do it? And what you want to do is take that timeline out as long as you need to in order to get yourself into action. Now, maybe that's one day into the future, maybe it's a month, a year, 10 years, because if you can attach a longer term benefit that's aligned to who you're wanting to become, you increase the chance of you actually getting yourself into action. For example, if you're avoiding a specific work task, you can ask yourself, what's the benefit of me doing that longer term? The benefit is that I get to grow through this experience and learn something new in the process. The benefit is I'm continuing to master my skill sets in this specific area. The benefit is me taking action is completely aligned to living an extraordinary life. On the other side, what's it going to cost you? Well, a day out, probably not much, but extend that out to a month, a year, 5, 10 years into the future, and all of a sudden it's a completely different conversation. I'm going to know that I could have done better. I'm going to know that I didn't fulfill on my potential. I know that my life would have been much more extraordinary had I really applied myself during that time. Attach what you're procrastinating on right now to a cost and benefit ratio that switches your thinking over and naturally springs you into action. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for future videos like this. Only takes a couple of seconds, really helps out with the YouTube algorithm and gets these videos out to more people. Thanks so much, and let's keep going. Number 2 is to break it down. Often, procrastination comes as a result of perceiving the task at hand as being too big. So break it down into bite-sized pieces. A couple of examples. Let's say on the health and well-being side, you've got some big goals, but on a day-to-day basis, you find yourself procrastinating because of all the changes you need to make. Break it down into bite-sized pieces so that rather than thinking, I've got to get to working out every day, I've got to make these massive changes, just breakfast, just lunch, just one workout. Breaking it down into smaller bite-sized pieces increases the likelihood that you're going to get it done. Another example, let's say on the work front, you've got a major project, break it down into manageable chunks. And if you need to, break those chunks down into even smaller pieces. That way you're able to schedule out when you'll get each part done, allowing you to focus your time and energy on the single smaller task that needs to be done right now. Number 3 is to create a focused environment. Now, this will be different for everybody, but there will be some similarities as well. For example, if you're procrastinating on a work project, you want to remove any distractions that would make it easy for that procrastination to occur. Especially digital distractions, get rid of any notifications when you're needing to focus on a specific task. Close down any browser windows that might be open. You want to remove those distractions so you're creating a more focused environment. You also want to choose a space that is most aligned to you being in a productive state. Now, this might change a little depending on what specific task it is, but you want to ask yourself, for what I need to get done right now, what is the space that's most aligned to me executing on that? It could be a cafe, it could be the office, it could be locking yourself away in a room away from everything else. Determine what that is for you, what is the most productive state for the specific task, and make sure you're creating that environment to give yourself the greatest chance of success. Number 4 is first things first. This one has been particularly useful for clients of mine when there has been a prolonged amount of procrastination. These are the tasks that you just really don't want to get done and you'll do anything to avoid them. I have clients select a specific day. It could be multiple days depending on what task it is, but at the very least, a specific day. Then the first thing they do on that day is that specific task. If you allow the day to go on, there is an increased likelihood that procrastination will happen because there's an increased amount of things that need to be done. If on the other hand, you've got that one thing to do first thing in the morning and there's nothing else to be done, it increases your chance of getting it completed and you can move on with what needs to be done next. What questions do you have when it comes to beating procrastination? Post them in the comments below and I'll see you in the next video.